And the Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my first question is to the Minister of Transportation. As we all know, the Hillsborough Bridge is the main transportation link between Charlottetown and eastern Prince Edward Island. Minister, can you explain what construction work is scheduled to take place on the Hillsborough Bridge this year?
The Honourable Minister of Transportation, Infrastructure, Energy and Status of Women.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are doing some reinforcement of different areas of the bridge so that we can start to install the sewer pipe that has to go across underneath the bridge. So that work is continuing this year. And the work around the Active Transportation Committee that has been put together has met, and we'll be continuing work for plans for an active transportation corridor.
Thank you, Minister. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, over 30,000 vehicles use the Hillsborough Bridge on a daily basis, travelling between Charlottetown, Stratford and beyond. Question to the Minister. Where does the Hillsborough Bridge stand on your government's infrastructure priority list?
The Honourable Minister of Transportation, Infrastructure and Energy and the Status of Women.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, that is a project that's going to be an $8 million project, which has been submitted to Ottawa, and we are working, putting that project together in different phases. So it's already on our priority list. We've started the work on the bridge. We actually started last year on that, and that work will continue in phases. Thank you.
Honourable Leader, Official Opposition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Hillsborough Bridge is a key link to expanding active transportation networks between Stratford and Charlottetown. To the Minister, what's the timeline to see the work completed to make the Hillsborough Bridge a safer place for cyclists and pedestrians?
The Honourable Minister of Transportation, Infrastructure and Energy and Status of Women.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And indeed, it is an important link between the two communities, between Stratford and Charlottetown. We have put together an active transportation committee, which involves both of those communities, with the department, with Cycling PEI. We put it out an RFP so we can start a planning process. That RFP has just come back, so we will be starting that, and we'll continue that work. There is the other work that has to be done on the bridge itself, the planning, and the pipe has to go across this year. We don't expect the active transportation corridor to finish until the work on the bridge is finished.
Thank you, Minister. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, again to the Transportation Minister. The Hillsborough Bridge will be a vital part of the project to pipe the sewage waste from Stratford to Charlottetown for treatment. A great example of regional cooperation to improve our environment. Minister, what's the timeline for this work to begin and to be completed?
The Honourable Minister of Transportation, Infrastructure, Energy and Status of Women.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and we are continuing with that work, as I noted. That plan is going to be put together so that we can do it right when we do it, Mr. Speaker. It involves both the cities, the City of Charlottetown, Stratford, the other communities, our department. The work will continue over the next several years, and by 2023, we expect that to be finished.
Thank you, Minister. The Honourable Leader, Official Opposition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Again to the Transportation Minister. There have been calls for safety barriers to be installed on the Hillsborough Bridge, most recently in the province's own suicide prevention strategy, something that I and our caucus fully supports. Question to the Minister, when will work begin on this important call for safety barriers to be placed on the Hillsborough Bridge?
Honourable Minister of Transportation, Infrastructure, Energy and Status of Women.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and there's certainly always ways that we can make investments into suicide prevention on Prince Edward Island, one of which, there's a number of which have been released under the mental health strategy and suicide prevention strategy. Making investments in that at the front line is certainly the priority that should be placed upon wherever there is a challenge with someone who has reached that point in their life, Mr. Speaker. We need to do everything we can to be proactive so that is not an option at the very end. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. The The Honourable Leader, official opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, so the suicide prevention strategy was just released a couple of weeks ago. So my question again is to the Minister of Transportation. Is this a priority? Will Islanders once and for all see safety barriers placed on the Hillsborough Bridge?
Honourable Minister, Transportation, Infrastructure, Energy and Status of Women.
A priority for this government is to put together a comprehensive plan that will address mental health in this province, Mr. Speaker. As the strategy has indicated, we will be doing everything we can work to do together with Department of Health to address those challenges and any other challenges that need to be addressed as that we go forward. We will certainly take those under review. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister.